Alright, so in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to start building your first real house track inside Ableton step by step. By the end of this quick 10-minute lesson, you'll know exactly how to drag loops from Splice, how to build out your arrangement, and how to start thinking like a producer and not just someone who drags loads of random samples into Ableton. This is the foundation that's going to make your tracks sound clean, structured, and professional, even if you're just starting out and you've just downloaded Ableton. And the best part is that it's all effortless. So let's get straight into it. First things first, open up your Ableton and make sure you're in arrangement view. So I'm going to just tab to make sure that I'm in arrangement view. If you're not sure how to get there, you press the tab button or you can toggle it here to get to arrangement view. Now the first thing we're going to do is find loops that we want to drag into Splice. So let's head over to Splice, which you should have downloaded by now, and let's just start finding some loops. If you open Splice and it looks like this, you can quickly navigate by clicking genres and clicking house or any genre under the electronic dance music umbrella. And then I'm going to filter it by loops because we're going to just be doing it loops for now until we get you more advanced. I'm going to choose F minor to write in F minor, and I'm going to put genres tech house. Actually, I might try deep house today. And then the first thing I'm going to find is my drums. So I can actually take the key off for the drums, and because most drums don't have a key on. So now I'm just going to go through and look for some drums. I'm just going to select drums to look for some drums. So I'm going to download that one. I'm going to download this one. That's just a kick loop, but I'm going to download it because I feel like it could be layered quite good with the kick in this one. I'm going to just use them three for now and actually layer them in arrangement view. So I'm just going to drag and drop, drag and drop, drag and drop. And now I'm going to come into Ableton and I'm just going to delete my other channels and just tidy this up. So these are all drums. So I'm just going to click on the track, click Command R and rename drums. Command R, drums. Command R, drums. Now if you've worked with me before, you know that I like all my drums red. So I'm going to highlight them all by clicking the top one, clicking Shift, and the bottom one, right clicking, clicking red. Oh, that's orange. Red, and then click Assign Track Colors. So now all my drums are red. I'm going to take the sample to the start. Now I'm just going to zoom in with my mouse pad and my two fingers, and then I'm just going to double click into that to make sure the loop brace is on. So this loop brace is on at the top. So that means I can simply just drag it out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom out with my two fingers on my mouse pad, and I'm going to highlight the top. So I find the glove, click up here, press Shift, highlight them and drag them all out across maybe like 4 minutes. So I'm just going to keep dragging that out until I see, okay, let's just do it for 5 minutes because we're here now anyway. Then I'm going to zoom out with my two fingers on my mouse pad. Then I'm going to make sure my loop brace up here is over the 5 minutes, and I'm just going to right click and click loop so that loop brace is on. Then I'm going to press the stop button, press play to hear it all together. Actually sounds wicked together, a tad loud, so I'm just going to tab to session view and just mess about with the volumes to make sure that it's not clipping. One of these was just a kick. I think it was this one. So I'm going to rename that kick. I'm going to rename this drum full loop because it's like a full drum loop. And then I'm going to rename this top loop because it's not a full loop. It's just got some cool sounds in it. And now all together, the kick should be the loudest. I'm going to drag this to the start because I like the kick to be at the start. Then we've got the drum loop, and these sounds a little bit quieter. I'm gonna highlight all these tracks and then bring them all down a tad, just so we're not clipping in the red. Then tab back to arrangement view. That's how quickly you can get drums together with loops from Splice. Now let's get some other elements in there. So I'm just gonna go to Splice, filter it by instruments, and then I'm going to find a bass sound. Basses are usually under synths, and then I can filter it further by clicking bass, and then I can select my key. I'm going to write in F minor, and then I'm going to have a listen. I quite like that. I'm going to download that. I only need one bass for now, so I'm going to download that and drag that in. Click stop on Splice, and then my loop brace is on, so I can actually just drag that there, drag that there. I'm gonna rename this bass, and if you know me, you know I like my bass blue. So now listening in that together, need to turn down the bass a little bit. By the way, I just want you to get used to sort of messing about with the meter controls here in session view. You can obviously do it here as well, but it's a bit harder to see visually like how loud it is by this control here. So I just quickly tab and go to session view and mess around with it. And I want you to be doing that as you go. I know obviously we'll be doing that a lot more in depth in the mixing stage, but as you go, it's worthwhile doing that. So I'm just going to tab back to arrangement. So we've got our bass and our drums. I'm going to go to Splice and find some vocals. Still in F minor, obviously. One vocal in F minor. Oh, we've got our bass on. So just make sure the filters are right, okay? If something doesn't look right, it's generally your fault. So now I'm going to look for them.
Welcome to the future.
I quite like that. That could be like layered with a cool vocal. That one. That one and that one I want to drag into Ableton. And I want this one as a quiet backing vocal, so really quiet. Drag out the whole thing. And then this one as the main vocal. You're obviously not going to want that vocal looped across for 5 minutes, but you get the idea to just build out a track, right? So I'm just going to highlight them and make them purple, because you know me, I like my tracks purple. Rename vocals. Well, rename that back in vocal / synth. I think it was quite synthy. Rename this vocals. Okay, and now let's listen to that together. How easy it is just to start bringing a track together with loops. Obviously, we're going to teach you how to make tracks from scratch in more advanced lessons, but this is for beginner people. Just get the ball rolling, okay? So we're going to go back to Splice and we're going to find a synth. And now we're going to listen. I actually quite like that one. Let's go with it. You know I like my synths yellow, so we're going to reassign that, rename it synth. Okay, I'm going to bring the volume down on it. and play. That's how quick and easy it was to drag in those samples there. Okay, and next up, what I want to do is just quickly talk about the loop brace again. So we have extended the loop over the full track, but you need to be very careful with this, because if the loop brace looked like that and you exported this track, right, and it was just sitting like that, it would just export that part of the track. The loop brace has to be over the entire track. For when you export it, it will export the entire track. Similarly, I would also actually have it like an extra bar over, because if you've got some echoes or some towers at the end of the track, you want to include that. You don't want it to like cut off the edge. You want that echo carrying on, and you can only include it if the loop brace is over the full bar to hear those echoes and the towel off. And a loop brace is also good if you're just focusing on like the build up of the track and you just want to sort of like hear the same 8-bar loop over and over again until you get it right. You can just shorten it and press play, and it will just start playing from the start of the loop brace until the end, and it will re-loop. And it's just gone back to the start of the loop. Press space bar to stop. Now what I want you to do is look at this bar at the top of your project, okay? This is your timeline. This is where you'll start thinking like a producer. So in house music, for example, you usually want to bring in new elements every 8 or 16 bars, so it's not boring and too repetitive. So you want bar 1 to 16 at the beginning here. So you've got bar 1 through to 16. So if I just... this part, so bar 1 through to 16, you want to start your drums, your hats and stuff like that. You probably wouldn't have your bass or vocals in right now, so what I can do is actually take those out. So I'm just gonna highlight all of the synths, the bass, the vocals, and just press backspace to delete those. So now we've just got our drums from bar 1 to 16, which is the first 30 seconds of the track that you can see down here. It's the first 30 seconds, so it's like your intro, okay? Then bar 17 to 32, so this next section here, you want to start bringing the bass in, okay? So I'm going to again take out the vocals, take out all of this stuff, and just have the bass from bar 17 to 32, and then bars 33 to 48, this next section is where you want to add your top loops, vocal sample, your synths, and this is what keeps your track interesting and gives it that progression instead of everything just hitting at once. So again, I've got a top loop here, haven't I? Yeah, this top loop. So I could actually take that out and bring that in here with my vocals and synths. I could actually bring this synth in a bit later, bring that in from 49 onwards. So let's hear this from the start and let's just hear how the track progresses. So if I press play, I just want you to listen through this now. While you're listening to that and listening to the different elements coming in, if you are watching this and thinking, I'd love someone to actually show me how to take this to the next level and make full tracks that get signed to labels, that's exactly what I do inside my one-to-one mentoring program. I'll literally work with you on a personal level to build your first release ready track and get it signed. The bass has just come in there, did you hear that? So we brought the bass in after the intro part. But yeah, I'll literally work with you. I guarantee all of my clients to be signed by a label, a great label by the end that doesn't actually sign brand new artists, but that's a guarantee by working with me and collaborating with me. So if it sounds like something you would want, click the link in the description to book in a free call with me and let's make it happen. You're gonna hear the other stuff coming now, the vocals and the top loop. And then in the next section, you're going to hear the synth come in, alright, as well. There's your synth. Okay, so you can hear how the track like progresses and builds quite nicely with a really quick bit of arrangement there. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about is when you click inside a clip, all your settings down here. So you've got the warp mode, which, as you know, the warp, if you leave it on, it warps that sample to the same BPM as your project. If you turn it off, it takes it to the original BPM of that sample loop. But we're going to just put that back on. So I'm just going to press Command Z to undo what we've done. This is the gain to make it louder. We've got the pitch that pitches it down and up. But again, when you mess about with the pitch, you're messing about with the key. So don't really mess about with the pitch at this stage, because you want everything in your project to be in key. You've got the different warp modes here. I have it automatically on complex. We went over that in the settings part, in the settings lesson. I would put it on complex pro for vocals, just to make it a little bit cleaner. The one thing I will say about the pitch, just going back to that, is if you have a really cool bass and it's like one key above the key or below the key of your project, you can use the pitch semitones to semitone it up or down to actually put it in key of your project. So you're purposely changing the key so it's in key of your project, but we're going to be coming onto that in more advanced lessons. And while we're here, actually, I am just going to quickly talk to you about the different warp modes. So beats mode is best for drums. It keeps the transients punchy, and complex pro are great for vocals and melodic elements because they preserve tone when you stretch out the sample, the audio sample. And this is how you keep your track sounding clean and professional even when you're using loops. I'm not going to dive into the other stuff too much just yet, but those are really important parts. So I might even actually go to my drum loops and then change the warp mode to beats on my drum loops. That's why I wanted to mention it. And then leave the others as complex, and then maybe just change the vocal to complex pro. And everything's just going to sound a bit cleaner and tighter. This lesson has helped you. Please do drop a like and subscribe so YouTube knows to show more of these lessons to producers like yourself. And if you hit subscribe and want more in-depth tutorials just like this one every week, then please do subscribe, because I can't give them away for free unless you subscribe. Because, you know, we're building a community of producers here who are ready to level up and actually make music that gets heard. So I'll see you in the next one. And remember, the only way to get better is by putting in the hours and just doing this stuff for hours inside Ableton and taking one weekend off. It's all I ask.